On today's show, we're going to be talking about how VGK fared in the face-off circle compared to the championship season. It's an area that the Golden Knights have to work on. We'll talk about that and much, much more after this on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, and please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, and you could get $20 off of your first purchase. Again, download the Gametime app. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. You're not Tony Cardasco. They don't do a lot of memes about you. An area that VGK declined in this past season was in the success rate in the faceoff circle. The Golden Knights finished 18th in the faceoff area. Their win percentage this season, they won a little over 50%. The Golden Knights, comparatively speaking, Chris, were ranked 9th in the championship campaign, over 52%. Winning faceoffs matters, especially, of course, if you're in the VGK offensive end. Something that stood out to me, we had a big discussion about this heading into the season, and this was Jack Eichel's success rate, Chris. You have to remember the episode we did before the start of the season, and it was titled, Cassidy Wants Eichel to be a Selke Award Candidate. And he wanted him to improve by 5% in the faceoff circle. And with 80% of the precincts reporting in, we find out that Eichel was over 45% on faceoffs in 2022-23. And this season, he improved. He improved from 45.3%, just 0.2%, to 45.5%. That's an area of his game that he needs to work on, and VGK needs to improve to be successful as well in the faceoff circle.
It's one of those little things where the little things kind of end up helping the big things. No different than what I spent the pregame for my young guns for my youth hockey team that I coached, just reminding the team, do all the little things right and the big things will happen. And it led to the tune of a 3-2 victory for the Young Guns last night, and Chris gets the first goal of the game. So there we go. But yeah, I mean, Eichel certainly, I mean, he's a great player. Like we're looking at ways to complete his game now, simply from being a scorer and a passer. It's that 200-foot game. It's obviously getting Selke consideration. And Cassie did mention face-off percentage has to be 50%. That's it. You got to get to 50%. There's more to it than that, of course, but that's really the first metric where the writers will say Selke candidate, no Selke candidate, and they'll say, and they'll look at 50% face and 50% win percentage in the faceoffs. And that's the craziest thing. Like most, like the best faceoff people in the NHL are what, 58%, 60%. Like it's not, there's not like someone out there winning 84% of their faceoffs or anything crazy like that. It's such a small, nearly even proposition. So if you're 52, 53%, that's a big edge. It's a big edge.
Something, again, maybe to consider when negotiating, as you are a UFA, if you're Michael Amadio, right? And you go in, you have to obviously have all sorts of numbers if you're his agent, pitching, what have you. Amadio regular season, 52%. In the playoffs, 61% in the faceoff circle, and that's pretty darn good. And does this help his argument to stay as a UFA in Las Vegas?
I mean, depends. I didn't see the number of faceoffs that he took, so I don't know based off of that. But it's sure it's a measurable. It's important. And again, Amadio was the one who took the spot on Chandler Stevenson's line when Stevenson missed some time. What was that? November, December? I forgot. I mean, there were so many injuries last year, like every year. So I don't know the exact numbers behind that, but yeah, I mean, listen, Amadio, there's really nothing reasonable that Amadio can't do for the Golden Knights.
Yeah. And then we look at some face-off figures here. William Karlsson, 56%. Hurdle, 57.5%, but he wasn't good, if I remember correctly, in the playoffs. He was doing really well. He's known to be a good face-off guy, right? And in San Jose, I think he had some really spectacular numbers, but he dipped some here in Las Vegas. Are they going to rely a lot on Tomas the Turtle Hurdle this upcoming season?
Oh, no doubt. And it'll be good to see Hurdle with the full recovery. I mean, no one wants a long off season, but that's the reality for the Golden Knights. It's going to be a long off season, and he has more time to recover. He was never full value. I don't think he was ever even close to full value in the playoffs. His best value came on the power play. I thought 5-on-5 Hurdle was just kind of out there going through the motions. Not that he wasn't trying. It just he had limitations on him. So a full season of Hurdle to get out there and especially take the game's most important faceoffs. Then you got William Karlsson, who's pretty good at faceoffs as well out there. Some interesting year-over-year data that I pulled here, going back to Jack Eichel here for a second in faceoffs. You look at the percents of shifts start by zone. Money Puck divides this up for you basically. So looking at Eichel's 23-24 numbers, he started 22.3 of his shifts in the offensive zone, 15.3 in the neutral zone, 13.9 in the defensive zone. Now, this doesn't add up to 100 because there's other shifts that start on the fly. That's why, obviously, those numbers don't equate to 100. From a year-over-year perspective, Eichel actually started more shifts in the offensive zone than last year at 22.3 versus 19.8. As far as the neutral zone goes, though, Eichel started 15.3% of his shifts versus 11.9. And then the last metric that's somewhat important are the defensive zone starting locations. Last season, it was exactly 12% for Eichel. This season, 13.9%. Now, okay, it's only 1.9%. But again, that does show more trust in Coach Cassidy to get Eichel out there in the most important, situations of the game in defensive zone in the defensive zone. And just because he's starting the game in the defensive zone, the shift in the defensive zone does not mean he's necessarily taking that face off. It could be like an end of game scenario where they have like a William Karlsson out there, or in the end of the regular season, putting a Hurdle out there to take the face off. But Eichel is still starting those shifts. And that kind of rounds out with the Selke conversation, starting shifts in the more sensitive areas of the ice.
You have some players that are not very good because they seldom take face-offs. I don't know. I can't recall the number on Mark Stone, but I saw Marchessault like 25%, Mantha 27%. Players like that. Of course, you mostly want your centermen and those that are good in this area to take the face-offs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So a lot of times, like, you'll even see a winger go out there and almost they cheat on the face-off, right? It's not the team's best face-off person, but they're going up there. It's almost like in tennis, taking that fault on purpose, right? Where you're trying to get the serve right on the line. And, it's kind of the same thing. They'll send a winger out there to kind of cheat on the face-off. And if the ref does drop the puck and they're able to cheat on the face-off, so to speak, then it could equate to a win. Otherwise, the winger gets thrown out and here comes the center to take the face-off.
So how much do the Golden Knights need to improve in this area next season? And when they're looking for a free agent, obviously this will be something I think that they're going to look for. It's a very important facet of the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if you were done there or not. So,
me neither.
do you have where Vegas ranked as a team overall? Did you get that or no?
Yeah. They were 18th
Where were they overall
this season, 18th. Okay. And they were 9th in the championship season a year ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I think top 10 is a good spot to get to. Average is important, and even if they crawl up a couple spots to average, that would help. But I think the more important metric would be getting back to the top 10. That's kind of one of the most important things. Again, there's so many more stats and advanced stats now, but top 10 in the league in faceoffs, top 10 in penalty kill, top 10 in power play. If the more items you can check off the list where the team is in the top 10, the more likely that could end up being a championship caliber team. But for Vegas, definitely starting with getting back to the top 10. And I think they've addressed that with Hurdle. Hurdle, as far as faceoffs go, he should be the best player for the Golden Knights. If he's not the best player, that means maybe William Karlsson had a really good year in the circles, which would be nice too. And maybe Eichel could get back to that 50% range like Coach Cassidy wants him to.
Yeah, by 2029, he might have a chance to get up that 5% at this pace.
I had to look at what year it was. That's how thrown off I am right now.
Coming up next, new coaches to contend with in the Pacific Division. We'll get to that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Gametime, it's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. Gametime has deals on tickets right up until the start of an event. And even an hour after the event starts, it's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals for tickets on everything, of course, including the NHL, for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, much, much more. With zone deals, you pick the section, and Gametime will pick out the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Gametime guarantee means that you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, then Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets today. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use that promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you will get $20 off of your first purchase. Of course, terms do apply. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cordasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much. Of course, Fridays are WTF. We have a good one there. Somebody did a nice little artistic rendering that included me yesterday. We'll get on that tomorrow, of course. That was a good one. It's off the charts. We have some of the most creative friends out there. And of course, on Saturdays, you don't want to show your son any of that artwork, but it's the Chris and Chris Jr. show, the YouTube exclusive. That's on Saturdays. Coaching changes in the NHL since last September, a ton, right? And then since February of 2022, 28 of the 32 NHL clubs have made coaching changes.
But all the coaches are job security, right? No coaches can ever get fired.
No, when I say that Cassidy's on the hot seat, everyone is up in arms, of course. And they're doing memes about me and stuff. And so in the Pacific Division, Seattle now has a new coach, and that is Dan Bylsma, who replaces Dave Hextall. The San Jose Sharks replaced David Quinn with TBD. They're on their second round. What are they waiting for? You need to have a new coach in place for the NHL draft coming up here in June.
Okay, so what happened with Cassidy when the Golden Knights got Cassidy? They waited, and the second Cassidy came on the market right before the well, no, but Cassidy didn't come on the market right after the season. No, it took a minute for Cassidy to hit the market because Boston said, "Okay, we're going to keep him." Then they fired him, and I think that lasted into June, if I'm not mistaken.
And so the Sharks, second round of interviews. Assistant coach Ryan Worofsky, he is in the mix. Jeff Blaishill, of course, from Detroit. You have Ontario Reign head coach Marco Sturm. Todd McClellan now in the mix. You like him? Yeah,
it's just old name. That's all. I mean, San Jose is now looking for a coach. They're looking for a placeholder as their rookies develop, or someone that has a history of developing rookies. Obviously, as Celebrini will be joining the team, and some of their other younger rookies that were drafted last year will be getting ready to join the team. So they're looking for a placeholder for 2 or 3 years.
Right. You need someone that can coach the younger players, though, because they're trying to build there. And Todd McClellan and Dean Evason's name also in the mix there in San Jose.
Going back to San Jose, that's interesting. I mean, it's going to be I'm not going to say a no name. It's going to end up being someone who's not that excitable and that has a track record. But I don't know. I'm not too concerned about who the next Sharks coach is and if they're going to make a triumphant return to greatness in the Pacific Division anytime soon. They're not.
Bilsma, by the way, up there in Seattle, he is a coach that has been with this organization before it was an organization, because he was in the AHL there down in Palm Springs. And so he is the current coach at Coachella Valley. They are in the Calder Cup final. 2009 Cup coach with Pittsburgh. Many of you recall he's got a good track record. And they're going to make an interesting hire there. It'll be the first woman assistant bench coach in Jessica Campbell.
Is that official? Did that happen?
They're going to hire her. They have to now. I mean, they say there's a lot of hype behind the hiring. It's not official, but it's close to being official. I think once the Calder Cup is done, once that's completed, then she'll make history. And I think that's a terrific move.
Yeah, I mean, back to Bilsma, 2010, 2011, Jack Adams. He's got the right trajectory, right? Well, Cincinnati Mighty Ducks in the AHL in 04-05. That's pretty funny.
Love it.
Stanley Cup winner 08-09, like you said, and then a run of 5 consecutive seasons with the Penguins in the playoffs. And then he goes to Buffalo 15, 16, 16, 17, doesn't make the playoffs. And so, of course, they blamed him those years, obviously. Detroit resets for 3 years as an assistant in Detroit's, goes down to Charlotte as an assistant. Like, he kept going downhill. And then Coachella last 2 years made it to the Calder Cup final in 22-23. So you look at the trajectory. This actually kind of reminds me of Cassidy, right? Cassidy had to take a step back, work his way back up, get his feet, get comfortable with the AHL players. And obviously he had a nice run with Boston and comes into Vegas, and we know how that turned out. So this is the right hire, I think, in Seattle to develop the players. Because remember, he's seen a lot of these players that have come through Coachella, starting with Shane Wright, namely. Shane Wright obviously is going to be hopefully a very good player, and a few other players that have made their way up through Coachella. So good job on the Kraken to hire someone with NHL experience, but also the experience of working with the young players, as Seattle is Seattle's going to want to be competitive right now. The Kraken are going to want to be a competitive team competing for the Pacific, and he's the right man.
Also within the conference, I think Winnipeg, right, has a new head coach there.
LA Kings, Jim Hiller, too.
Okay, that's right. The LA Kings, we forgot about them. Jim Hiller there in LA. That's a decent move. Again, new coaches, and well, you just now have to adapt to their coaching styles, I guess, if you're Bruce Cassidy, and it changes a little bit of your preparation, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Jim Hiller hire, like long time as an assistant in the NHL, and then I believe he was the interim coach, and now he's obviously going to be the man for a couple of seasons. We'll see exactly how that shakes out. And I'm high on coaches with NHL experience, especially when your team has a chance to, the Kings are still going to be a playoff team next year. They should be, at least. And is Jim Hiller the person to get them there? I don't know. I mean, we'll obviously see how that shakes out, but I'm eating my words a little bit here in Chris Knobloch up there in Edmonton, who had just the AHL experience, and guy's not afraid to make a move. He has been making some very big moves in the playoffs, and it's winning games for the Oil right now. So we'll see if Knobloch can maybe be the mold, so to speak, for these AHL bench coaches who are getting a shot with the big club. I mean, Edmonton, he went from San Diego Gulls, is that who their affiliate is, something like that, to getting, now he's got the key to the Ferrari with McDavid and Draisaitl, and the list goes on. So we'll see if he's the role model for AHL bench coaches to follow.
Yeah, and this Hiller hire too, how much of the Todd McClellan system will he still implement, since he was an assistant there?
It's interesting. Like, I don't know the structure of the Kings. Was Hiller like the Steve Spots, like of that team, or was he just like one of the, like the Ryan Craig? I guess maybe that's the question, I guess, that I have. Was he was he McClellan's guy, or was he the Kings guy? I'm assuming he was the Kings guy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was the Kings guy, the Kings man. What are you talking about?
There you go. Well, like Ryan Craig is the Golden is Foley's guy, where where right now I guess Desharnais is going to be Cassidy's guy.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
Desharnais.
Hiller, at least we
Like,
know, like
whatever.
I just was looking up to see because he's in LA and Hollywood, but he does not have an IMDb profile, so an acting profile. So he should be okay. Coming up next, we've got the playoff update that comes your way next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Just kidding.
Back with this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Psych.
No ad read. It's on the notes. It's on the napkin.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Tomorrow's that day already. It is WTF, What the Friday, and there's going to be a lot of shenanigans coming up on tomorrow's show. How did Ottinger's stick make that stop on its own on Connor McDavid last night?
I didn't see this. What happened?
I
was
just right
coaching
now.
last night, but I didn't know
Go to
about this.
Tony Dasco on X.
Okay,
You need to do this. Okay, you have an assignment today.
No, I'm doing it right now. I'm not waiting. This is on the fly, bro.
Okay,
this is on the fly. So keep yapping for a second.
Edmonton, nonetheless, comes back from a couple of goals down. No lead is safe anymore in the NHL.
I just saw it. Oh my goodness! What? That puck is going in.
So the
it's
stick
so rigged.
is dislodged from Ottinger. It goes behind him. And then you have McDavid, who has a wide open net, and the breakaway stick actually makes the save.
It's rigged.
It is
so rigged. Wow, that's funny. What a moment. So that's the craziness right now of the conference final in a nutshell. How about it? Both series 2-2. No clue what's going to happen. I was sweating the score a little bit, and it's just here's what I do find interesting. Looking right now at the future side, I know money matters when it comes to this, but you have the Rangers now with home ice advantage in a 3-game sprints. The Rangers have the longest odds of winning the Stanley Cup at plus 360. The Florida Panthers, who only have one more home game left in this series, are plus 220 to win the Stanley Cup. The Panthers are the favorite right now to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, there is such a great hedge opportunity with taking the Rangers at plus 360. As long as that series goes to game 7, you can get yourself out of that bet, or you can let it ride to the Stanley Cup final, because the Rangers, even with home ice advantage, will be no less than a plus 150, 170 underdog to the winner of the Stars Oilers series, because that's just the lack of respect they get. So, I mean, if you take the Rangers, all right, if you take the Rangers plus 360, as long as the Rangers win one of the next 2 games, you can hedge out of that bet in game 7 and be in a good spot. Or you can let it ride till the Stanley Cup final and be in a much better spot if you're that confident that the Rangers can win 2 out of the next 3 games.
I'm not.
2 of them being at home. But you're New York. You're a Grizzly New York fan, no different than if this was the Bears. If the Chicago Bears, if they did 3 and 5 and 7 game series in the NFL, God, that'd be nuts. If they did stuff like that, the Bears would be up 3-1. Every Chicago Bears fan would be sitting here saying they're going to blow it. They haven't looked good. They'd be nitpicking every little thing that went wrong instead of acknowledging the things that have gone well. That's just what sports fans of cities with these rich histories, and for lack of a better term, when you have that many sports teams in a major market, you're used to failure to a degree. You got the Jets, so you obviously know what I'm talking about there.
I know failure.
So, and I got the Bears, so it doesn't matter. It's just where your mind goes. But the reality is, the Rangers should not be the longest odds to win the Stanley Cup right now.
Well, for the Rangers, obviously, the big 3, they're going to have to get on the scoreboard. Mika, awful turnover in the last game.
Yep.
Breadman, Kreider, they all need to contribute in some manner.
They got Lafreniere. They're good, bro. They got Laffy. They're good.
Well, they better figure it out there with the big time money players, and they're losing the physicality battle in a big way. They are. And Rempe, if I'm Rempe, just go after Kachuk. Both of you go to the box, hopefully for fighting, and let's go. And then let's start 4-on-4. Who cares?
Well, no, that's definitely not a bad way to go, and that's obviously what Rempe's role
Or
is,
a line
to
fight,
disrupt
an entire line, maybe.
A line brawl. Take out the. I don't think you're going to get Kachuk, Reinhardt, and Sony Milan. No, Evan Rodriguez. I don't think those three are going to drop the gloves against Repe and whoever the two other goons on the fourth line are for the Rangers.
You say Milano? That's awful. That's great. Okay, so
Milano and Rodriguez, they were kind of the same situation,
like
long F free agent and all that. But yeah.
Okay, so you and Anson Carter are on the same page about Roope Hintz, talking about how valuable he is. So last night, Anson Carter dissects the importance of having Hintz on that line with Jason Robertson. Okay, get this stat here. 35 goals with Robertson and Hintz together. No goals for Robertson. None. Regular season and playoffs without one Roope Hintz in the lineup. And
that's interesting.
Check this out. Power play. Sorry to keep you awake.
Okay, no, you're good.
Power play with Hintz in the lineup, 29.6%. Without him, 9%. 9%. And then the goals per game average goes up. I mean, you really hit that one on the head there, talking about Hintz and his importance to this Dallas team.
Like I said, I mean, from a scoring perspective, William Karlsson is the closest Vegas comparison, but the difference is Hintz is a much better scorer. And you lose a two-way centerman like that who can put up those types of points while slowing down. You're never going to stop, but while limiting or slowing down Connor McDavid's chances, that's going to obviously help your team to victory. But losing to Nev possibly could be an absolute gut-wrenching situation for the Stars. He's been the heartbeat, if you will, of that defense, not taking anything away from Miro Heiskanen and stuff like that, but he has been the heartbeats of the blue line for the Dallas Stars. And we hear this from Cassie: when a player leaves during the game, it doesn't come back, it's never good, especially off of a block shot situation. You'd have to assume there is a bone injury of sorts, but will it limit Tanev from being able to come back in this series or even starting with game 5? That's his foot better be completely dislodged if he's not going to come back, because Tanev will do anything he can. And now they have time to maybe develop something within his skate and something he can wear to protect his injury and get him some meaningful minutes out there. But if he can't get out there, all of a sudden, does Nils Lundqvist come back into the mix and his 2 minutes and 36 seconds a game? I mean,
that was so good. That was the best. That was hilarious, the way that they utilized him. And for Tanev,
he was still like a -6 in the series too. I think even funnier, but
that's even better. For Tanev, now he was a trade deadline acquisition, right?
Yeah,
wasn't he?
From Cal? Gary. I mean, the Flames the Flames had such a good team with all these players.
My goodness.
I mean, and it's just like no one wanted to play there, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's a crap situation and crap weather and in a crap stadium. So I mean, I get it, and so they're pressing the reset button right now up there. But they had a good team. I mean, they were a playoff team for a long time before that, and it's unfortunate what's happening, but in the same breath, it's helping a lot of other teams. And where does someone like Tanev end up, next year or something like that? We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Remember how I was lecturing VGK fans, sit back and enjoy the playoffs. It's game 7. It's so exciting.
There's so many fans that they're still like rooting against. That's
right. They're rooting against Dallas.
The Stars can't win. They knocked out the Golden Knights. Sorry. Okay.
No, but I'm like, I should take some of that advice myself, because this is painful with my Rangers. Last night in that,
your team is in, at least. I'd rather be in pain watching my team than
I told you. I said if
being in denial and not watching my team.
I said if they get in 2 series, I think I'll be happy. Right? Everyone, this could be the year. I don't know. Who knows? It's up for grabs. And now you need a Kreider to step up with another hat trick or 2 in the next couple of games.
Chris brought up a good point last night. He wants Rangers oil in the final. He wants, basically, in his words, a record to be broken. He wants to see the president's trophy curse lifted, or he wants to see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup. So obviously, if it winds up being Rangers and Oilers, that would be awesome. And listen, for the popularity of the National Hockey League, having an original six in the Rangers, having the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, where would you put those two teams as far as popularity in the NHL go? Like both top four? I mean, both teams are that popular, it'd be that good for the game, and it would be remarkable. But I think both of these series, I mean, we're going 6-7, probably, maybe 7-7. I mean, how amazing would that be if we get back-to-back conference deciding winner take all games that both go to overtime?
Oh my goodness. Please. No.
Tony, if that happens, I don't know how you do it, but people do it where they, there's a video of themselves watching the game and all of that, like a live reaction. I want to see that, and I want to see you doing karate chops and stuff when Panarin has a terrible turnover, and
I almost kicked someone
5-hole. And
when Vegas Bjorn had an empty net goal at T-Mobile on St. Patrick's Day of a couple of years ago, I almost kicked someone up there. Yeah, that wasn't good.
Well, you were at a game last year too. Well,
I've got a few. I kind of slide in, slide out, right? I kind of sneak in, and you're like me. You're at the place, and then I leave.
You're like me. People have our pictures on their phones when we're on the premises now.
Connor McDavid, 3 assists last night. Skinner, 20 saves. Leon Draisaitl potting his 10th goal of the playoffs, and
it wasn't a power play goal either.
In the words of Darnell Nurse, we're done. Have a good day. We appreciate everyone tuning in. You like
Nurse?
That.
Nurse. He's going to take this negative energy and find a way to actually make it a positive. I think they found a way to the local Edmonton media found a way to piss him off to the point where he's going to start playing better now. That
was supposed to be the closing line.
I know, but
we appreciate you tuning in. Tomorrow's WTF What the Friday. I'm going to make sure notation on the
put on the
Nurse. Okay. Of course, YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe. Chris and Chris Show Saturdays, the YouTube exclusive. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. In the words of Darnell Nurse, have a good day and take care.